So you've finished shaping your board and you've sanded it so it's nice and good. The last thing that we need to do is seal it so it's nice and watertight and is going to last for years to come. And to do that, we use fiberglass. Now, glassing is one of those things that is really hard to get perfect, but it's easy enough for the average person to achieve at home as long as they're willing to give it a bit of elbow grease and spend the time doing so. I do suggest that you do some research other than this video series on the subject to make sure you are comfortable in doing so. But if you follow along with this, it will be a good guide for how to achieve acceptable results. Now, materials wise, we use epoxy resins, and there's a few reasons for that. One, they typically have a longer working time, so it gives me a bit more time to get the layup just right. On top of that, they also tend to be a bit stronger, so that's always a good benefit. And lastly, they also tend to not have much odor at all when compared to things like polyester, which is quite a horrible, strong chemical smell. Now, for the resin, we like to use epoxy resins. Namely, we use the West Systems or the Kinetics range of resins. Now, we use these as they are easy to get locally, but talk to your supplier and see what they have on the shelf and what they recommend, because after all, they're the expert and they'll be able to set you up with the best resin for your job at hand. Now, as far as the cloth goes, we use just the standard Surfboard fiberglass cloth in either the 4 ounce or 135 GSM weight, or 6 ounce or 200 GSM if we're looking for something a little bit stronger. Now, on foam boards, it is common practice to do 2 layers of 4 ounce cloth on the deck with only 1 on the bottom, but we have found over the years that 1 layer of 4 or 6 ounce cloth is perfectly fine for the wooden boards, as they are that much stronger just in the construction themselves. Now, to prepare, we just need to make sure the board is nice and sanded. I typically take the board up to either 120 or 180 grit, and that is perfectly fine for me. Any finer than that, you might run the risk of it being too smooth so that the resin doesn't grip as well to the wood itself. But the other thing you need to prepare is your workspace. You need to have your board so it has easy access all around, and that includes the underside. So you need to be working with your board supported off of whatever you're working on. On top of that, you need to make sure that the area is protected against over drip, because this can be very messy, and if you're doing it straight onto your driveway, you're going to have a hard time cleaning up after you're done. Now, the way I support the board off of the surface is with some spring clamps, and I just hook those over my sawhorses so that the board will be floating up nice and high and I have good access all the way around.